there was an episode of the Howard Stern show recorded in about was 2017
Right.
that just released a couple of days ago,
Mm-hmm.
featuring Compton's own Kendrick Lamar.
Right.
It was a very interesting interview. What stood out to you?
First off, the first thing I thought was, why did they release it now? Was it something like, was it a clearance issue with TDE? Did TDE say, hey, let's not release this interview? You know what I mean? Or was it just like lost footage, or they recovered a hard drive or something like that? I think about, stuff like that. But very good interview. Very good interview. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like, because when you listen to the interview, you realize that it's after his third album comes out, Damn. You know what I mean? And he's in the Grammy running before we see him win all the Grammys for Damn. And it's really telling, because we have hindsight right now in terms of like, we seen, after Damned, after Mr. Morale, after the Kendrick and Drake battle, after the GNX, you know what I mean? And the funny part about, like, for me, like, the one thing that stood out to me was how in pocket he was with answering questions. Like, he was this was past just having media training. He would only say the things that he wanted to say. Like, right. There was, Howard Stern, like, first off, shout out to Howard Stern, because Howard Stern is one of the best media personalities in the game.
He's still the king of media.
For sure.
Media. Yeah.
For sure. And he has a track record of kind of, helping the interviewee slip up, you know what I'm saying? Or the guest, I would say. He knows how to talk to where he can get a lot of information out of you. Yeah. But Kendrick Lamar was like literally like he was on track with what he wanted to say. Even when Howard Stern was saying certain things like, yeah, man, so it's a lot of gangbanging going on, people being shot left and right, things like that. And for certain things that Howard would say, Kendrick would just either just pause and not say anything. He wouldn't even say, He'll just wait till Howard Stern gets to the question that he's going to answer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which was dope because that lets me know that it's like we're seeing a prequel of when he's
everything
doing
that came after.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy.
That's what I took from it. It how calculated everything was with him.
Right.
And not that this is the first time I've seen that from him, but yeah, his speech and his mannerisms are all extremely controlled.
Right.
He definitely knows how to open up without opening up, which is, a good interviewee. I do a lot of interviews. Interviews can be like a tug of war.
Right.
Torre just did a good episode of his show. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about the battle of interviewing and who was he talking about interviewing? And they just Courtney Love. He was interviewing Courtney Love, and this is, of course, an old interview, like just after Kurt had passed, and he was just talking about how he had to get her, the back and forth and opening up, and how intense it was. And I definitely know exactly how that goes. So yeah, that's what I took away. And the other thing is, he's the same dude he's always been.
For sure. For sure. That's it's crazy because it's almost like, as people grow in their music, there's sometimes certain things that, they don't get to explain because they're so much of a superstar, so much of just on rise with what they're doing. And Kendrick is okay with the mysteriousness of certain things that you just don't know. The one thing I will say is he talked about Top Dog for about like a good 4 to 6 minutes or so. It was a good conversation talking about Top Dog, being in his life. Of course, the story of Duckworth, that whole story, you know what I mean? If you know, you know. And I love the way that even when Howard Stern mentioned Suge Knight in the context of some people may think that Top Dog, because he's an executive and because of how he looks as far as being a big sturdy guy, that you would compare him to Suge Knight. Right. And then Kendrick took the time to explain how different Top Dog is, not just from Suge Knight, but from every executive that you may come across, you know what I'm saying, that's done great things in music, you know what I mean? Right. Which I love that, because sometimes it's about telling the story, not just the story that you want to tell, but the story that's true. You know what I mean? It's just a real story. Like, Top Dog seen something in him, wanted him to excel, and he does unique business practices because it's fair. You know what I'm saying? And it's what the artists want. You know what I'm saying? I love that element of it. Did you see Kendrick is in all black at this moment? Right. So you can tell the energy of the damn album based on how he's looking. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. And it's funny because we've seen, the one thing I will say that we've seen a good progression of, we've seen a progression of his appearance. You know what I'm saying? Not just clothes, but just, you know, his hair. You know what I'm saying? Even though he poised himself the same way, we gradually see a fashion change with Kendrick Lamar per album. You know what I mean? Per album is different, which I think that's dope. You know what I mean? And now that it is funny because he's in all black, got the hoodie on, he in New York, we get the damn album, and then Mr. Morale comes right after, which is more of a sentimental, emotional, I'm trying to find my peace album. The more I watched the interview, the more I started thinking, like, man, we literally watched Kendrick on his emotional journey through the albums. You know, it was like Good Kid, Mad City. Mm-hmm. You're telling the story of your life and how you perceive it, how you've seen it. You know,
and you know what's stupid crazy to me is it was before that. You know, I think being from the West, you know, we started actually, everybody started actually paying attention like around Overly Dedicated. And right. What was that, 2008, 2009, something like that. Mm-hmm. But he had already signed a development deal. Right. So we're talking about a dude who has literally been in the game for 20 years now.
Facts.
And what was really crazy to me, like, in the interview didn't, kind of sidebar, the interview didn't bring this up, but it just reminded me, I guess, that I'm from the West and I was paying attention that whole time. Right. And it just once what Swimming Pools dropped, you know, when he went mainstream, I didn't like the record. It's kind of still my least favorite record from that classic of an album. Right. But it took me until the beef just a couple years ago to realize that people don't like Kendrick Lamar. Like, we're talking about a dude who is, like, we're on a creativity level and this hip hop thing of ours. He is one of the best motherfuckers that we've ever seen in this shit. And you know, my bad for rambling.
No. I'm glad you said that, because I it's not that I don't feel like, it's not that they don't like Kendrick Lamar. I think that they don't like the concept of how truly creatively far he is from other artists.
Because he is miles ahead, like, for real.
He is miles ahead. Records that he's making, nobody's making. He gives me the same feel, like even first album. Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe is a great record. But when I heard what's my record? The record where he talks about what was it? I'm gonna remember, but there's a record on his first album where he talks about 3 different concepts. He talks about a guy as a gangster. Sing About Me. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. He talks about the life of a gangster. He talks about the life of a prostitute. And then he talks about, you know, he kind of brings it full circle.
It's like 6 minutes long. It's an epic of a record. Epic of a record.
If it was a movie, it would be a damn good movie.
Yeah.
He's doing songs, even Swimming Pools, the song that you least like. The song is about drowning in liquor, alcoholism, but he called this Swimming Pools. Like, he's far ahead of a lot of these artists, and instead of people admitting it, they try their best to try to pit him against different people. Like keep in mind, he's very competitive. But when you hear him talk in interviews, his competitive nature is through music and hip hop and through lyricism. It's not based on I hate these people. I'm trying to be competitive against them. Nobody wanted to go against him on that Control verse.
Nobody responded really hard. Nobody
wanted that smoke.
Right.
Nobody wanted that smoke.
I do remember a couple responses, but nobody like really pushed the issue. It was more just like, okay, you said that, so I'm gonna say this.
Right. Most of the responses were from people who he didn't mention. Those were most of the responses.
That part too.
You feel me? So then, music-wise, remember, he's doing these competitive, energies, the BT Cypher, certain freestyle. He's doing this, but on the other side, with his albums, he's creating masterpieces. Yeah. You want to get in a battle with a dude who made an album that won a Pulitzer?
And that's what I'm saying. That was one point that I kind of glossed over when I was talking about. He's been in the game for 20 years. He's been on point for that long,
dude.
And like you mentioned, wins the highest like writing award that one can win, like for literature, for a hip hop album.
4 words, 4 words, 4 concepts, for understanding of the process of writing. Pulitzers are for people who have done extraordinary things in the literacy field, in some levels, the highest level of education, so many different levels. This man is a rapper,
right?
And from Compton.
So
it's like I understand that fans and other artists don't want it to seem like it's so far, but it's so far. It's real. Let's be honest.
What else would have been out so far out of this damn world, which came up in the interview, is a Prince and Dot record.
Oh man!
And I of course I love the record. What was it? It was the one with Rhapsody. Complexion. Yeah. With Prince, like would have rocked out. That would have been dope.
I think they would have did a couple of records. I think they would have did a couple. Because you remember he said he went to the house. They went in the studio. They was chilling for a while.
He played.
But he had a whole event going on in the back. A whole other concert going. So you like, man, come get on stage. Kendrick get on stage and he forgets. Of course they both forget. Everybody forget to go back to the studio. But let's say Kendrick says, okay, I'm going to go home. I'm going to come back 2 or 3 days later, and they actually lock you in the studio. They're not doing one record. I promise you they're not doing one record.
I could see that coming from you. I believe you.
They going in. Then on top of that, you got to remember, like, somebody like Prince, who's a musical genius, you know what I mean? When you get comfortable and you're working with somebody like Prince, all of those riffs and all of those creative elements he's adding, you want to keep all of that. Hey man, I want save that. Right. I would have loved to see Soundwave come in the studio as well and help. All of Kendrick's team members are part of creating this albums. I would have loved for them to also come in and vibe with Prince as well. You get what I'm saying? I don't know if that would have happened, but it would have been a great thing.
Something tells me at least Soundwave would have been involved.
For sure. That's his engineer and his producer. Like, pull up. You feel me? That right there, for Prince to even communicate with you and want you to do music is that in itself. In itself. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Like that's what makes Kendrick exceptional. You know what I'm saying? Is because he could cross genres. I mean, he talked about the Taylor Swift situation, And regardless of you liking pop or not, that record came together to be a success. It was a good record. It was a good record. I listen to it? I don't have to because I got so many other K-Dot songs I could enjoy. You know what I mean? But it was a great record. And then also, if you just think about just the concept of Kendrick's creativity, he's probably one of the artists that you don't have a problem with him getting on any style of record. I feel like he can apply himself to any type of record. You know what I'm saying? Like judging by the way how he flips his words, does cadences, his element, like I can hear him on so much
concepts together, puts entire concepts together, like within records to form together for a whole project, sort of like how the MCU does, you know, how they did their first couple phases, you know.
Right. I mean,
each individual project, each individual record forms together to make the entire thing. Like, the dude is quite fucking amazing when he does that. Continue.
Listen, I want to say this. I think I know why they didn't release this interview.
Why?
I think this interview gave so much information that he never said before. Like he's never mentioned the Prince situation before. He's never really talked about the Taylor Swift record. Of course, well, the Duckworth, I mean, you heard it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's after the damn album, so that's there. But there's so many elements here. I mean, he talks about the Dre situation as well, which I think he talked about that on Big Boy, but that was early, I think after like the first album. There's a lot of things in this interview that I think they didn't want to give away so early. I think they wanted to scale that down because his mysteriousness is what makes a lot of these things admirable, because it makes people think about what's the possibility. You know what I mean? So I think they held the interview for that reason, because
so you led with that too. Is there an album coming?
Not based off this interview, but there is a new album coming. He got to be. I mean, his trajectory right now is phenomenal, and even with GNX being an album that is still a successful album, but wasn't everybody's cup of tea. It was a certain particular, collection of people who can really understand and enjoy the album to the fullest. But there's still, like, even with all of these albums he dropped, was it 5 albums? There's still so much more that he has to say. It's so much more that he can give us. And not trying to be greedy, because it's just what it is. Like, he has so much that he can build upon. I want to hear the album where he just completely explodes. I actually thought, let's just rewind back a little bit. I actually thought that the before Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, I thought that next album was going to be where he pretty much attacks everybody. I thought it was going to be Control Verse times 12 records. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought he was going to go at everybody, because that was like, Damn was so successful. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was still talking about him going at people. I thought he was going to do it right then, but then he did the complete opposite.
I'm glad he did. I'm glad he didn't go.
Right. And did Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, which in my opinion is one of my favorite albums from Kendrick. And we'll talk about that later, but it's really, really nice album. And I think that album is going to catch up to itself sooner or later. Like, it's going to catch up to itself in terms of the context of it. People are going to be studying that pretty soon. And
of course, if you know, like it needs no catching up with me. Yeah.
Right.
We'll continue.
And then, so I'm thinking he was going to explode. He didn't do it then. Then he did GNX was pure West Coast energy, which I love that he did that, because that's in his belt. That's done. I think this new album gotta be explosion. It gotta be anthems. I'm not saying you gotta diss nobody because you did that already, but I want it to just be anthems after explosions. It just got to be a war type album. Just make a war type album, man. Do it one time for the one time. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm thinking, let's go back to features, right? First off, I believe a new album is coming for sure. Whether it comes out the end of this year, I think nobody want to drop during Hove season. Hove season is winter season. Nobody want to drop around there. But I think whenever he drops, which is probably like the top of next year, whenever he drops his album, I think the features that's warranted, and I'm not even talking about big features, but I'm talking about features with eclectic artists. Some of the, like, I would love for him and Tierra Whack to do a record. I would love for him and Jill Scott to do something powerful. I would finally love for Rhapsody to be a part of his album because of the first debut album from Rhapsody with Kendrick being on the first song. I would love to just pay it forward. I'm pretty sure he's getting back with his boys, Terrence Martin, Robert Glasper, like that whole energy. I would love for them to be the ones with Soundwave and, you know, all of the fixes, Thundercat, you know what I'm saying, to be a part of creating something great. But then you got to do an official Kendrick and Jay-Z record, an official one, not the remix that Don't Kill My Vibe. Kendrick and Jay, what we doing?
I agree with that. I think it's about time for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you know, bring Keem along. You know what I'm saying? Because Baby Keem adds to the texture of just great music with Kendrick. And then I need to see Keem, Kendrick, and somebody of major hip hop status. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see his whatever that Blueprint album is. Because, you know, Blueprint is to Jay-Z is his magnum opus, right? So whatever that is for Kendrick, if it's not damn, it needs to be whatever this next album is. You know what I mean?
It's about time for that.
For sure.
I'd love to see that too. You know, transition time.
Yeah.
But you know, we still on the same kind of page. You know, record of the day. We usually gonna pick a number from 1 through 10, and you know, we shuffle the records and you know, pick one. But in honor of today's record of the day is
you know it. Good Kid, Mad City, the van.
We got the photos there. We got the credits here. We got the track list here. Somebody got this for me. Something tells me it was a Target record. Clear vinyl, you know. I think I played it a couple times. Favorite record for me was Good Kid. The one that was produced by Pharrell. Massive Nation, baby. Look inside the walls over here. Yeah, but so many good records. Money Trees. He had the Drake feature right here, which at the time was not a part of the Drake stimulus package, and still is not to this day. You know, that was a thing back then. You know, it was the Drake stimulus package, but that wasn't applied to this one right here. What else? We mentioned Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. What a fucking epic of a record.
Dying of Thirst is so crazy. That little encore at the end, Dying of Thirst is so crazy.
The whole theme of being a good kid in the Mad City, fucking around with his homies. He trying to get back to Shireen. Moms is calling him the whole time. This was one hell of a fucking project. For sure.
Even Shireen, even the first record, Shireen, take you on that journey that we all know. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's getting on the bus, whether it's having a stolen whip, but you're trying to get to this girl because you already know, like, you're trying to get it popping. You know what I'm saying? But you know you're going into the wrong neighborhood. It's not safe. It's not right, but it feel like something you got to do. Like, it's real. Come on, man. Come on.
Right.
Love that.
What a classic.